First, we'll start with the textbook. Okay, so that I will show you. Can you see this page?
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody? Ha.
Yes,
So,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
ma'am.
third chapter, we are going to start with inheritance and variations. As I told you, what does it mean? First, we will see what is inheritance, what is variation, what is responsible for this character. So, step by step, we will begin. What is the meaning of inheritance? Okay, variations and inheritance, both the things are related to each other. Okay, transmission of genetic into information from generation to generation is known as heredity or inheritance. That means what? Inherited. That means that character is transmitted from parents to the offsprings, and this mechanism is called as heredity, that is inheritance. And because of this inheritance, so many characters are transmitted from generation to generations, from parents to the offsprings, and that continuation of the life is there because of this. Like parents, their offsprings, they look like, because this characters, genetic characters, the information is transmitted from parents to their offsprings. Now, in case of plants, we are going to study in this chapter where Gregor Mendel, uh, who first of all explained this with the help of a plant, that is pea plant, Pisum sativum. Okay, and why he selected this plant and all, let us see with the help of slides. And then again, if needed, we'll go with the help of chapter pages. Okay, so, mechanism of inheritance, that is the transmission of genetic information from generation to generation, that is called as heredity or inheritance, as I told you. For example, I just tell you, now if parents, one of the parents though is having a specific character feature, suppose curly hair, then in human beings, into their offsprings, maybe son or the daughter, he or she will be having same character, that is curly hair. This is just one example I'm telling. Maybe skin color, hair color, etc. A color of the eyeball, eye color. That means, oh, this is just example I'm telling. That means that character is what? Transmitted from parents to the offsprings. Today, we are going to study this in case of plants, where Mendel, Gregor Mendel, Gregor John Mendel, who is the son of farmer, who first who first explained this inheritance with the help of the pea plant called as Pisum sativum. And he found so many contrasting characters in this plant, and that's why he selected. Now we will study why he selected that plant and all, but just remember that history you will be studying about, that will be your homework, about Gregor Mendel. History of Gregor Mendel you will be studying on your own, which generally the questions are not asked on the this part, but you should know, because this is considered to be a great scientist who first of all explained this inheritance. And he was the son of farmer born in 1822, and he first of all gave the accurate explanation about the mechanism of inheritance using different techniques like hybridization. And he performed his experiments on the garden pea plant, that is Pisum sativum. And he observed 7 different contrasting characters in the plant, and that's why he selected. The main basic thing why he selected the plant, there are so many reasons, but this is one of the reasons. Then he studied it individually and also with the same, means as considering a single character also he studied the plant, and considering different characters at the same time, then that means the combination of characters also at a time, means at a time he observed 2 or 3 characters also he considered in his experiments. While performing his experiments, he not only performed the experiments, but he kept his data of his experiment, he performed, and mathematically and statistically he could prove, and that analysis of his experiments uh, is given by him in the form of statistics. So statistical analysis is also he kept as his record. And after performing the experiments and statistical analysis, he postulated some principles of heredity, which he called as laws of heredity or laws of inheritance of characters or laws of inheritance. And his laws of inheritance, he performed, explained three different laws, which we will be studying step by step. But before that, we should know all the terminologies which are used for the experiment. And then laws of heredity proposed by Correns, and factor was the word first of all used by Mendel. Later on, this is termed as genes. Okay, so what are the reasons behind Mendel's success? Mendel's experiments were very successful, and what are the reasons? First of all, that the experiment which he performed very carefully and very much planned, and there are so many things behind which are considered to be the success behind his experiment. What are these? First thing, the selection of the pea plant. Means not only he performed, he recorded all these experimental analysis in the statistical form. And the plant which we selected, that is pea plant, that is Pisum sativum, is having 7 different contrasting characters. And second important thing, that it can be grown in a small area and with a very small period of time. That means as this plant is annual, he could perform the experiment, or he could grow this plant 3 times in a year. As it is annual, its life cycle is completed within 3 to 4 months. So 3 times in a year means this was very much beneficial for his experiment, that within a short period of time and within a small space, he could perform his experiment and collected the data. Okay, and the 7 contrasting characters also helped him, and single factor every time he observed, considered either single or the combination of the characters also he used. And then by single factor each located on separate chromosomes, no intermediate character was observed when he was performing the experiments. In most of the cases, he observed, out of those alternative characters, only one was observed and the other was not observed, but there was no such combination of the characters observed, that is called as intermediate character. So that was also very much helpful for his experiment. Now, what is that exactly? That point I'll explain when we'll take the actual example. Okay. Then he introduced the concept of dominance and recessive. I just know I didn't use these words purposely because you need to know what exactly the dominance and what is recessive means. Now, let us begin with the terminologies, and then all these dominance, recessive, and all terminologies we will discuss, and then I will explain you this with the help of example again. Now, character, that is a specific feature of an organism. For example, height of the stem, whether the plant is having height as tall or dwarf, means small, that means height is a character. Or maybe color of the flower, color of the pod, color of the seed. So these are all characters. That means this specific feature of an organism. Now we are all talking about the Pisum sativum now. We are talking about Mendel's experiment. And for his experiment, he has used Pisum sativum as his experimental plant. So height is the character. So the feature, unique feature or specific feature, that is called as character. Now trait means what? Little difference is that an inherited character and its detectable variant means what? Height is a character, and trait is what? That character is expressed and inherited from parents to the offsprings, and that character is detectable means what? Whether that height is large, small, big, or small, like that. That means the detectable. So what are the variants? Either it is tall or it is dwarf. Dwarf means what? Short, little, small in height. That is called as dwarf. You know, no, dwarf people, you know this word. So in case of plants also it is used. Dwarf is short. So this is what called as trait. Now factor. What is factor? It's the unit of heredity. A particle present in the organism which is responsible for the inheritance and expression of a character. That means factor is passed from one generation to the next through gametes, and factor determines a genetical, that means biological character of an organism. That is nothing but the unit of heredity. Just remember that this is the character which is responsible for representation or expression. That means just like as we were talking about the character as a height, factor is what? That particular unit or the particle of an organism which is responsible to express this character. That is what called as factor. And this factor word was used by Mendel, and later on it was known that the factor is nothing but a gene. Then what is gene? It is a particular segment of DNA which is responsible for the inheritance and expression of trait. That means that particular character which is inherited and expressed, that is trait only, isn't it? So the character which is responsible for inheritance, and that particular segment of a DNA which is responsible for that particular inheritance and expression is called as gene. Don't get confused between these terminologies. As and when we will come to the example, then you will be able to understand it very clearly. Right now you may find it little difficult, confusing, because which way these terminologies are very much related to each other, close to each other. So you may find little difficult, but as and when I will explain it with the help of example, you will understand everything. Okay, so gene is nothing but a part of the segment or the particular segment of DNA which is responsible for the inheritance and expression of that particular trait, that is the character. Now alleles or allelomorphs, that means what? Two or more alternative forms of a given gene, that means factor, are called as alleles of each other. Very easy to remember. You remember here I'll tell you. Suppose height is the character, then what are the detectable variant in that? Tall and dwarf. So that allele alternative forms, these are either it is tall or it is dwarf. These are called as alleles or allelomorphs. That for that particular character, either it is tall or it is dwarf. Here in case of height, only two alternative forms are there. But in some other case, suppose skin color is considered in case of human beings, then there are many forms. But these are alternative forms, right? So morphologically alternative forms, these are nothing but the alleles or allelomorphs for that particular character. You remember in this way. Then what is dominant? Very simple. I tell you with the help of example only. What is dominant? Suppose in an experiment, we are considering the plants as parents. One plant is with uh, height tall, that means tall plant we are considering, and the other one as dwarf plant we are considering, right? So when these parents are crossed, these plants with tall and dwarf as height as a character are crossed with each other, then whatever the offsprings are produced, all these offsprings are shown to be tall. That means what? Here in the first cross, or in the cross between the parents, considering as a height as tall and dwarf, after the crossing over, whatever the individuals are produced, they are all tall. That means what? Tallness is expressed. Tallness is the character in the height which is expressed, that, and dwarfness is the character which is not expressed. So which is expressed in this first cross, that is called as dominant character. And which is not expressed, that means dwarf is not expressed, that is the recessive character. And this is the first cross, this is called as F1, first filial generation. That means what? When whatever the progeny is formed with the crossing over of these selected parents, that is called as F1 generation. That is first filial generation. So in F1 generation, whichever the character is expressed, that is called as dominant. Whichever is suppressed, that means not expressed, that is called as recessive. I think you are understanding this at least. This is very simple, and again with the help of example I'll explain it. Now phenotype, very simple to remember, I tell you. Phenotype means what? Whatever the external features are there, externally, morphologically, how the individual looks. For example, uh, we'll consider the example of the pea plant only, whether the plant is tall or dwarf, whether the uh, flowers which are produced, they are of red color or white color, they are purple color or white color, or the pod, which type of pod is produced, whether it is flattened type or constricted type, what is the color of the seed. In this way, whatever we observe. Now in case of human beings also, if you consider whether the color of the skin is dark or faint, or the color of the eye is brown or black, if hair, whether curly or straight, these are what we can see morphologically. What we can see, that means external appearance of an individual, that is called as phenotype. Okay, and genotype means what? That is the genetic constitution of an organism, that is the genetic makeup of an organism, which represents that particular trait to look externally also, phenotypically also. But we don't know what exactly that genotype of the individual is. In the first generation, first appearance, we are not able to identify the genotype, but phenotype we can identify because we observe, we can see it, how it looks morphologically, what is the external appearance, what are the external features. So that is what phenotype. And genotype is the genetic constitution or genetic makeup of an organism with respect to a particular trait. Okay, that means height, or in case of plants, if we consider this color of the seed, color of the pod, size of the seed, the type of seed, etc., etc. That is what a genetic makeup. Okay, now homozygous and heterozygous, these are two more terminologies you need to remember. Homozygous means these, the individual possessing identical alleles for a particular trait, that is called as homozygous or pure form. That means if this I will explain with the help of example only, that will be clear then. Just remember that if tallness is considered, that tallness is represented, height of the plant if we are considering, that tallness is represented by capital T, capital T. And dwarfness is the same alphabet is used but in the small letters, that is small t, small t. Okay, that means both the alleles are similar, means tallness represents capital T, capital T, dwarfness represents small t, small t. That means what? Only one type of gametes are present. That is what homo means, similar. Zygous, zygotes, these gametes which are present, they are pure. They are pure in the height. They are purely tall, and capital T, which represents purely tall, whereas small t, that letters, they represent pure dwarf nature. Now, what is heterozygous? Heterozygous individual means there is this individual is possessing the contrasting alleles for a particular trait. For example, height, same example as a height when we consider, then that genotype will be represented as capital T and small t. Means genotypically that gametes, one is capital, one is small, but phenotypically expression is tall. Means phenotypically that individual is tall, but genotypically it is combination. That is just temporarily they come together. That means capital T as well as small t. Hetero means different, different zygotes. One is capital, the other is small. That is what hybrid form. That is called as heterozygous. Now we'll discuss it with the help of example. Then you will be, it will be very clear to you. Before that, Just few more terminologies I just want to mention. Pure line means an individual or group of individuals which is homozygous or true breeding for one or more traits for that particular character, when that is called as pure line. When self fertilization takes place, that time it is giving the pure form. I will not explain right now, I'll explain with the help of example only. This one also. So with the help of these all his experiments, he performed different laws of inheritance. These are known as law of dominance, law of segregation, and law of independent assortment. I'll explain this with the help of example only. Now let us see the example. And what is mono hybrid cross, that also I will tell you. Mono means single, and hybrid, that is the combination of the characters. When only single character is considered, then that is called as mono hybrid cross. Cross in the sense when the parents are crossed considering a single character, that is called as mono hybrid cross. And at the same time, you remember the word mono hybrid ratio. That means when the parents are crossed considering a single character with alternative forms, then whatever the ratio is coming at the end, that is called as monohybrid ratio. Now let us discuss this with the help of example here itself. Now this is the example of the pea plant itself. Now try to understand all these terminologies. Okay, P is what? Parental generation. Now what is the phenotype? The plant is tall. What is this plant is dwarf. So phenotype means how it is seen morphologically. External appearance. What is the external appearance of this plant? This plant is tall and the other plant is dwarf. So now when we are considering parents, the female is tall and the male is dwarf. And these parents are selected and they are crossed artificially using hybridization techniques. Now what are the genotypes of this plant? Capital T, and for dwarfs, small t. This is what genotypes always shown in pair, because these are allelomorphs. They are the alternative forms, right? So all these genotypes are always in, alleles are always in pair. So that's why you remember these genotypes are always represented in pair, not separately. Only single T or single small t, it is not shown like that. Genotypes always in double form, diploid form. Okay, so this plant is tall. The another one which we have selected as a male parent is dwarf. When these are crossed, then what happens during that gamete formation? Two types of gametes by this tall form, that is the female. Both are similar, capital T, capital T. Now these are the only one type of gametes. Here both are small t, that is a gamete formation. Now in F1 generation means what? Whatever the progeny is produced by crossing these parents, that is considered as F1 progeny. This is called as F1 progeny. Now in the first cross, this is what F1 is what? F1 means first cross. Now this is the artificially formed made cross, that is the hybridization using different ways of hybridization. This is the first cross. So first generation, whatever the individual produced, this is phenotypically tall. That means phenotypically it looks like this parent. That means what? Tall. So in this case, in the F1 generation, what is the character expressed? Tallness is expressed. So which is dominant? Tall is dominant over dwarf, because all individuals are tall. That means which is the dominant character? Tall is dominant over dwarf. So tallness is dominant over dwarfness. That means tall is the dominant character and dwarf is the recessive character. So this is the recessive parent and this is the dominant parent. Now this is about the phenotypical expression, that in monohybrid cross, first in the first generation all individuals are tall, that is the phenotypic expression. But genotypically, if you say, this is the combination of one capital and one small. So this is the heterozygous nature. This is called as heterozygous nature. So all the plants which are produced are heterozygous in the first generation, right? Whereas In the parental generation, these both parents are pure in their nature. This is purely tall and this is purely dwarf. But in the F1 generation, first generation, which is observed, that is phenotypically they are like one of the parents, that means the female parent, all individuals are tall, but genotypically, that is genetic makeup of those F1 individuals is heterozygous, because it is the combination of one capital and one small t. One gamete is from one parent, the other gamete is from the another parent. So obviously this is called as heterozygous nature. And this, so gametes which are produced are of two types. Here genotype of this plant is capital T small t, that means heterozygous genotype. Now what happens when this plant, these individuals which are produced by crossing the pure lines, pure forms of their parents, these heterozygous individuals, they are allowed to self-pollinate. They are not again cross-pollinated, but they are allowed to self-pollinate. So during that process, what happens? Two types of gametes are produced, because it is not the pure form, pure nature is not there. This is not the homozygous condition. This is heterozygous condition, because two types of gametes are present. One is capital and the one is smaller. One is representing the tallness, the other is representing the dwarfness. But what happens in this case? In F1, tallness is dominant over dwarfness. So phenotypically individuals are tall. But when this, here you try to understand, here is the law of dominance states. With the same example, law of dominant is stated. Now what is the law of dominant? We will see. Law of dominance: when two homozygous individuals with one or more set of contrasting characters are crossed, the alleles that appear in F1 are dominant and those which do not appear are called as recessive. I think you understand now with the help of this explanation. Means here, when two in a cross, considering one or more, here in this example we are considering only one character as height, are crossed in F1 generation, the character which is expressed is called as dominant, and the one which is suppressed, that means not expressed, is called as recessive. And that is the law of dominance. Try to understand. Now, the second law is also proved here itself. That is the law of segregation. How it is proved? The members of allelic pair in a hybrid remain together without mixing with each other and segregate during gamete formation. And the gametes formed are pure in that they carry only one allele each, either dominant or recessive, are also called law of purity of gametes. Law of segregation is also called as law of purity of gametes. How I will explain again here with the same example. I hope you have understood the law of dominance. That means in the cross, considering one or more pair of contrasting characters, the character which is expressed in F1 is called as dominant character, and which is not expressed in F1 generation, that means which is suppressed, that is called as recessive character. This is the first law. So first law ends here itself. Well, up to here, that means here all are expressed phenotypically. Tall means tallness is dominant over dwarfness. So up to this phenotype, oh, this is the law of dominance is over. Now from here itself, from genotype of this individual F1 individuals, the second law starts, law of segregation. What is the law of segregation? Now these here, because of one character is dominant over the other, but the genotype of that particular plant individual is, F1 individual is what? Heterozygous. That means these gametes remain together, each other. They are not mixing. That means what? Tallness and dwarfness character is not mixed. You try to understand, because it is not the combination of two characters. Intermediate height is not seen in the individuals, but all are tall. Not the intermediate height. It is not the height which is intermediate between tall and dwarf, but all are tall. So they are pure to their form, pure to their nature, parental form. That means dominance is seen of one parents. That means tallness. So here ends the first law. Now the second law is what? Second law, what it says? Segregation of the characters. Now here, their genotype when we consider, One is coming from one individual parent, the other is from the another dwarf parent. So, but the expression is only one phenotypically, but genotypically both the gametes are present. So these individuals are with the heterozygous form condition, but they are not mixed. They are temporarily together with each other, but they are not mixing. Tallness and dwarfness is not mixed here. But when they are segregated, they are temporarily, they are together, but they are segregated when there is gamete formation. Now, this genotype, tallness, these individuals with the heterozygous condition when are allowed to self-pollinate, in the self-pollination, in the selfing, self-pollination means there is no crossing over. These plants are allowed to self because, this plant is bisexual in nature. This, now we are coming to those all remaining characters of the plant also later. So as it is bisexual in nature, both male and female parts are present in the same flower, the plant. So this plant can self-pollinate. No need to wait for cross-pollination. These plants, these individuals with heterozygous condition are allowed to self-pollinate. And during that process, what happens? The gametes which are produced, they are of two types. One is with the capital T and the other is with the small t. This is what called as segregation. So law of segregation starts from the genotype of the F1 individuals here. Now what is happening then? Gamete formation, when there is taking place, these individuals, these gametes, they are separated, segregated separately without mixing with each other. That is totally pure with the tallness and totally pure with the dwarfness. Now how it is shown here? See here, selfing is shown here. These are the F1 individuals. F1 individuals are self-pollinated, and this is what the way of representation. This box is shown. Try to understand. This is called as Punnett square method, or this is also called as checkerboard. What is the checkerboard and what is Punnett square? That means Punnett is the name of the scientist who explain all these mathematical expressions or this way in the form of these checkerboard method. So this is called a checkerboard method or Punnett square method. How it is, what is shown here? See, gametes are represented. Now these horizontally male gametes are represented and vertically female gametes are represented. Anyhow you can show either female this side or male this side, anyway. Okay, so male are represented here horizontally and female are represented here vertically. How that segregation? Because here though it is selfing, now both the gametes are with combination of characters. That means both heterozygous condition is there. That means one capital, one small, female also and male also. This is the female, this is the sign of male gamete with this circle with the arrow, and this is the female gamete represented as a circle with the plus form. Okay, plus at the this end. So I will show it again with the another example same way. So these are the signs of male gametes and female gametes. Okay, so both are having one capital and one small. Here also female is having with one capital and one small genotype because heterozygous condition. Then how it is crossed? Try to understand now. This capital one female gamete when joins with the one male gamete with the same capital T, what is the result? Both the plant which will be produced will be with both the T capital. Now when this T capital female gamete combines with the small t of the male gamete, then what is the genotype of that individual? Capital T and small t. Then we'll consider the second gamete of this female. If this small t of the female combines with the capital T of the male, then what is the result? Capital T, small t. Always the capital letter is represented first. That's why it is shown like this. Then when this small gamete combines with the small gamete, that means this gamete with the small letter, that is T, combines with the gamete with the dwarf nature itself again, then that is the combination of small t, that is called as, this is the genotype small t. Now phenotypically first, second and third, all the three are tall, but phenotypically only one dwarf is there and all the three are tall, because 1, 2, 3, all the three are phenotypically tall. whereas only one individual is dwarf. When the self-pollination is done, these individuals, that means F1 individuals, are allowed to self-pollinate. What happens? This is the combination of characters. These are the chances. So this is called monohybrid cross, and this is called monohybrid ratio. Now, monohybrid ratio, first phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio, two types of ratios are there. Try to understand. Phenotypic means what? How they are seen morphologically. Three, both the all the three individuals, one, two, and three, all the three individuals are tall. So three and only one individual is dwarf. So that's why phenotypic ratio is what? 3:1. And genotypic ratio, how many types of genotypes you can see? One genotype is with capital T, and two genotypes are with capital T, small t, that means heterozygous condition. And the last one is third type is with small t. So three types of genotypes are seen. So genotypically, ratio will be, what is the ratio of genotypic ratio? You can see that 1:2:1. Then what is that one? This one is pure tall, homozygous tall, is to heterozygous tall, is to dwarf, homozygous dwarf. So this individual with capital T, and this individual with small t, they are pure forms. Whereas these two individuals with capital T, small t, they are heterozygous forms. So genotypic ratio is 1:2:1, whereas phenotypic ratio is 3:1, when only one character as height is considered. Any character you can select. I'm showing it with the help of height as a character, and only one character I have considered. So this type of cross is called as monohybrid cross, and this type of ratio as phenotypic and genotypic ratio is called as monohybrid ratio. Phenotypic ratio is 3:1, and genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. Okay, so this is what here it is shown. And dihybrid cross, what is dihybrid cross, that I will show you later, but let me just tell you. So these are the two laws, that is law of dominance and law of segregation. This is also called as law of purity of gametes. You know why? Because their gametes remain in their pure form. Here you can see the gametes are in their pure nature. Here it is tall. That means how it is pure? Because they are not mixing. Either tall or dwarf. There is no combination of tallness and dwarfness is observed. So that's why this is called as law of purity of gametes. Gametes are pure to their nature, pure to their form. Either they are tall or dwarf. There is no combination of tallness and dwarfness. That's why this is, and as they are segregated at the time of selfing, that means second generation is what? Self-pollination. That is also called as selfing. So when there is selfing of these characters, that means these members, they remain in the hybrid form without mixing with each other and segregate during gamete formation. And these gametes are pure in that their nature. They carry only one type of allele, either dominant or recessive. So this is called as law of purity of gametes. Now I will come to the third, that is, third law is law of independent assortment. Now this third law, I will not explain it right now, because here for this law, minimum two characters are considered. Suppose height is considered, then color of the flower or the color of the seed or the pod, like that. Any two characters when are considered, that means when hybrid possessing two or more pairs of contrasting character form gametes, and the factors in each pair segregate independently of their pair. You will not understand like this with, but you need to understand with the help of this type of example, that is called as, again, Punnett square method. Now here is the example. What we are considering in the dihybrid, di means two hybrid forms. That means a cross between differing in two heritable characters. When are considered, the parents, the offsprings which are produced, they are independent of their parents. Their whatever the parents are having their character, whatever the offsprings are produced, they are independently assorted from, they are not exactly similar to their parents. They are independently assorted. So that is called as law of independent assortment. And what is the dihybrid cross? Cross when two characters are considered in a crossing. Here, suppose pure tall and round seeded plant with dwarf wrinkled seeds are considered. Okay, so this is what? This is the parent seed, phenotype with yellow round, and green and wrinkled is the recessive form. That means we will consider whether it is recessive. Just remember, phenotypically the seeds are yellow color and another is green color. Shape, that is structure, is round and it is wrinkled. It's not smooth. Okay, but with wrinkles on it. So that is what. So yellow color is represented by capital Y, and round form is represented by capital R, capital R. Exactly same letters in the small form, they are used for green and wrinkled. Then what will be the gametes? Capital Y, small r, sorry, capital Y, capital R, whereas small y, small r. So combination of this, whatever the F1 progeny is produced is exactly of this parent. That means all the individuals in the first cross, first generation, phenotypically they are yellow and round. But genotypically there is a combination because YR, these are the gametes. One for Y is for yellow, R for round nature. This is green and wrinkled nature. So these are the combinations. So genotypically it is different, but phenotypically all the individuals which are produced are similar to this parent. Yellow and round seeds are formed. Now this is what the combination of the characters. When the gamete formation is there, this will produce two types of gametes and this also will produce two types of gametes. Means for yellow colored, one capital, one small gamete. Nature of the gametes I am talking about. Whereas for round also the similar. So these are the combination of the characters, both with capital, one small here. This is one recessive, one capital, one, and here both are recessive forms, both are small letters. Now, when these all different individuals, these all different forms as male and female are considered here in the selfing, see how many types of individuals they are produced. In short, I'll just tell you and I'll quickly come to the revision of whatever we have discussed. Now, these are the male gametes shown with these combination of characters and these are the female gametes shown with the combination of characters. Now, capital Y as well as capital R, capital R. When you have to cross, we'll do one thing. I will not explain in detail right now. I'll explain it in the next period. But right now, just observe. This is how it is crossed. This character it is considered crossed with this character, then this character, this character, and this character. And these are the genotypes. Then again, this second one is taken Y, capital Y, small r. Then it is crossed with all the forms of gametes. So this is the result. The next time again the third type of gamete is considered with small y capital R crossed with all these forms of gametes. Then that is the result. And then last one, small y small r, again it is crossed with 1, 2, 3, 4 and these are the results. And with this result, phenotypically and genotypically what we get the ratio is how many forms? Yellow round, yellow wrinkled, green round and green wrinkled. In 9:3:3:1, this is just phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio is much in detail. We'll not talk about it. Just observe now to understand this law. What is the law? Whatever the forms are taken as parents when for two characters are considered, individuals which are produced, they are assorted independently, not exactly similar to their parents. How it is proved here? See, parental forms are yellow and round and green and wrinkled. But here, how many type of individuals are observed? These are yellow round and this is green and wrinkled. 9 yellow round, which is dominant character, and green wrinkled only one. But along with these two more forms are observed. That means yellow wrinkled and green round, which is not seen here in the parents, right? That is what it proves, the law of independent assortment. That means This is the law of independent assortment when hybrid possessing two or more pairs of contrasting characters forms gametes. The factors in each pair segregate independently of the other pair. They are not dependent on their parental forms, but new forms are produced. This is what this law is explained with the help of this Punnett square. Again, we will discuss this in detail later, but let me show you a few slides which explains this. Again, we will be having revision. This is a quick revision of this, whatever we have discussed. This is the branch of biology that deals with the mechanism of inheritance and variation. Now, this is what biological heredity from parents, how the parents look uh, like the offsprings, how they are similar to their parents. Uh, these are just some of the examples. Grandson and grandfather, two sisters or siblings and their parents, so with similar features. So these are some of the examples which you can consider as clasping hands, tongue rolling, then earlobes, like this. These are the different forms. This is the free earlobe, this is the attached one, clasping hands. These are a few. This is what rolling of tongue, hiccups, thumbs. Thumbs, it can stand straight, and which shoes like this. So similarity is seen in the parents and the offspring. This is the rolling of tongue, and this is the normal uh, tongue. So this is father and daughter, like this. These are the some of the characters, identical twins. So the characters are inherited. That is what. So genetics deals with the inheritance as well as variations. Means some characters are inherited as it is. For example, thumb or the earlobe. If the parent is having with the free earlobe, the offspring also will show the same similar. And some are showing variation. So this is what now what are the Mendel's experiment? Mendel uh, performed the experiment on the pea plant, and there are many reasons behind selecting. He kept statistical data also, and this is the pea plant where you can see seven different contrasting characters. So tall pea plant and dwarf pea plant, now yellow seeds and green seeds, then pea flower, purple color and white colored flower, and these are the seven characters. Stem height as tall and dwarf, flower color violet and white, position of the flower as axial or terminal, pod shape is either inflated or constricted, pod color is green or yellow, seed shape is round or wrinkled, seed color yellow or green. This is what we discussed. These are some of the pictures which where you can see this is the inflated seed. Now you observe, if you are not observed nowadays, means now these peas, green peas are available. Observe the constricted pod, how these are arranged and how the inflated pods, the seeds are arranged. The shape, color, green and yellow. It's round. This is what smooth texture, that is round seeds. And you can see the wrinkled texture of the seeds. This is the green, wrinkled seeds. And yellow seeds and green seeds. This is also observed. So by using artificial, now these are the few more points which are to be considered behind selection of this pea plant. As it is annual plant and with so many different contrasting characters, this plant was selected. And then it can be grown easily, crossed easily. Why crossed easily? Because it is the flowers are bisexual. Both male and female plant parts are present in the flower. So easily, no need to depend on any pollinating agents. So bisexual, then it can be self-fertilized conveniently. Self-pollination can take place, and the most important thing is that short lifespan of this plant. So within a year, that plant can be produced, grown thrice, minimum thrice, because 3 to 4 months life cycle it is having, short life cycle, so can be produced, and also in a large quantity, and because of which he could keep his data, experimental analysis in the form of statistics. Okay, then one more. This is what some of the slides where parental generation, that means which is represented by P, that means parental generation, and These are the again same reasons why he selected the plant. This is what shown with the help of again one more slide. Parental generation, that means gametes, parental gametes as capital T, small t, like this. And this F1 gametes, and this is the F2 progeny offsprings. And here are the letters used for tall and dwarf. So phenotypic ratio as 3 is to 1. So Mendel observed that all F1 progeny plants were tall like one of its parents and none were dwarf. So Mendel used the term as factor, that means the unit of inheritance as factor, but later on it was approved and the term that is the word used was genes. So that contain the information that is required to express a particular trait. So these are the terminologies. Gene means unit of hereditary, genetics the study of heredity and variations. Heredity means transmission of characters from one generation to the another generation. Factor is nothing but the trait determining the thing. Alleles means alternative forms of a gene, and phenotype is phenotypic expression. Whatever we see morphologically, phenotypically, appearance. Genotype is the genetic constitution of a character. Homozygous means a pair with similar alleles. Means this is capital T or small t. Heterozygous means dissimilar alleles. Now, remaining part we will discuss in the next lecture. Uh, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. We have few more minutes.